On our third wedding anniversary, Liam Scott cleared his schedule and surprised me with a bouquet of bluebells. However, I'm allergic to bluebell pollen and nearly died. When I woke up, I immediately had my lawyer draft a divorce agreement. Liam held the papers, looking at me in disbelief. You want to divorce me over a bouquet of flowers? Yes, over a bouquet of flowers. Isabella, don't say I didn't give you a chance. I'll ask you one last time. Are you sure you want a divorce? Liam looked up at me again before putting pen to paper. I answered him firmly. I've thought it through. I want a divorce. Liam didn't say anything more. With a swift stroke, he signed his name. Satisfied? He asked, tossing the divorce papers at me. His handwriting was strong and sharp, just like him. I closed the agreement and sincerely said, "Thank you." Liam was a man of few words, especially with me. In 3 months, he probably said less than 10 sentences to me. But now, as I was about to leave, he spoke again. Isabella, it was just a bouquet of flowers. Is it really worth a divorce? He looked at me with complete bewilderment. Giving up your position as Mrs. Scott just like that? Are you seeing someone else? I was surprised by his assumption, then shook my head with a small laugh. No, there's no one. So, it really is just because of the flowers. Liam was skeptical, but he had no choice but to believe it. I nodded. Yes, actually, it was and it wasn't. It was just that the flowers were the final straw that made me decide to end this pointless marriage. Liam and I had been married for 3 years. We had been intimate only a handful of times and had no children. We had both signed a prenuptial agreement, so dividing our assets was easy. The only thing I needed from Liam was for him to accompany me to finalize the divorce. After confirming his schedule with his secretary multiple times, I arrived early at the coffee shop downstairs from his office to wait for him. Liam was always punctual, but this time, he was a full half-hour late. And he wasn't alone. A girl in a white dress was playfully walking beside him. She was chattering about something, and a slight smile played on Liam's lips. If I wasn't in a hurry to catch a flight, I really wouldn't have wanted to interrupt such a serene and beautiful moment. Liam, you're late, I said, walking up to them. Seeing me, Liam's expression returned to its usual indifference. Before he could speak, the young girl beside him said to me with a panicked expression, "Miss Reed, please don't blame the president. It was all my fault. I was the one who." Looking at her innocent face, I smiled and asked, "And you are?" Seeing that I wasn't angry, the girl instinctively glanced at Liam. She replied, "Hello, Miss Reed, my name is Ava, and am the president's assistant. Do you have a sister named Lily?" I continued. At the mention of Lily's name, Liam's gaze on me turned sharp. Lily, Liam's idealized first love, had died in an avalanche. Ava also looked at me in surprise. "Miss Reed, how did you know?" So I was right. Just a guess. You two look a lot alike. Your features, your height, you both like to wear white dresses. And, do you also like bluebells? Ava looked at me with a pure and innocent expression. Yes, Miss Reed, were you a good friend of my sister's? A good friend? I'd have to put that in quotes. I didn't answer Ava's question. Instead, I looked at Liam. When he met my gaze, he subconsciously touched the bridge of his nose. It was a sign of guilt he wasn't even aware of. Liam quickly regained his composure and urged me, "Aren't you in a hurry to finalize the divorce? Let's go." Okay. Ava followed us. I was a bit confused. Is she coming too? Liam glanced at Ava. Yes, after we're done. I have a party to attend. I'm taking her with me. When Liam was doing business, he always preferred to bring a male secretary. That had been his unchanging rule for years. But today, I saw that rules could be bent for certain people. Liam drove. The young girl quickly took the passenger seat. I willingly sat in the back. I have to say, a CEO worth hundreds of millions drives much faster than a regular driver. A trip that should have taken over an hour, Liam did in less than half. "Wait here," Liam said, getting out of the car and thoughtfully instructing Ava. I was already on the steps, and I turned to look back. I had rarely seen Liam look at someone so gently. For a moment, it was like I was back in my late teens. If it hadn't been for that avalanche, perhaps Liam and I wouldn't have ended up like this. The autumn wind picked up. I tightened the shawl around my shoulders and shook my head. I was suddenly getting impatient. Liam, can you hurry up? After we take care of business, you two can have all the time in the world for your sweet nothings. Liam turned to look at me, his brow furrowed. He probably hadn't expected me to speak to him like that. Ava, on the other hand, wasn't angry. She just blushed and lowered her head. "President, you should go. I'll wait for you here." Throughout the process of finalizing the divorce, Liam's face was cold. The clerk thought he didn't want a divorce at all. You two are such a handsome couple. It's a shame to get a divorce. Why don't you go home and think about it? A little argument between a husband and wife is nothing. As the man, you just need to coax her a little. Liam remained silent, his face still cold. I couldn't stand the awkwardness. This divorce has to happen. After all, he's not good in that department. We can't make up in bed. The clerk understood immediately and quickly processed our papers. As we walked out of the city hall, Liam suddenly said, "Isabella, stop right there. Is there something else?" He gritted his teeth. "You just said I'm not good. Tell me exactly what you mean by that." So he wanted to settle the score now. I gave him a fake smile. "If you know, you know." Then I turned and walked away, leaving him with the back of my head. Liam tried to follow me but was stopped by Ava getting out of the car. After leaving the city hall, I took a flight directly to Ocean City. I stayed there for almost a month, and then I came back. I didn't want to run into Liam on my first night back, but I did. At a party, Liam was with Ava. Everywhere he went, people would flatter him and then compliment his beautiful companion. My gaze didn't linger on him for long. I turned to chat with a representative from France, Frank. As we were talking, Frank suddenly switched to fluent Mandarin. "Isabella, I didn't realize you were not only young and beautiful but also had such a deep understanding of artificial intelligence. It's truly impressive." "Thank you. I'm surprised your Mandarin is so good," Frank said. "A Chinese friend of mine taught me. He's here tonight as well. They've also been getting into AI recently. I think the three of us could have a good discussion." Frank looked around the crowd, and his eyes lit up. "Hey, Scott. Over here." Following his gaze, my heart sank. It was Liam. Liam and Ava walked over. He looked surprised to see me. "What are you doing here?" Frank, sensing the situation, asked. "Do you two know each other?" I quickly said, "No." My marriage to Liam had been practically a secret. No one knew before the divorce, and I certainly didn't want any connection to him after, especially since we would be business competitors in the future. Seeing how quickly I denied it, a flicker of displeasure crossed Liam's eyes, but he said nothing and started talking to Frank in French. It was all friendly greetings. I was getting bored but didn't want to miss out on a potential client like Frank. "Miss Reed, do you not understand?" Ava suddenly asked me. I met her clear eyes. "Why do you say that?" Ava genuinely thought I didn't understand. "Miss Reed, I majored in French in college. I can translate for you." Was she trying to make herself useful? I didn't say anything, but Ava really did start translating for me. At first, her translations were accurate, but when it came to key business terms, she would get stuck and then start giving me a simplified, vague version. Watching her, her face not even blushing, I guessed Liam probably liked her for her thick skin. It wasn't until Frank mentioned my interest in AI to Liam that I finally had a chance to speak. The moment I opened my mouth, my fluent French silenced Ava. Listening to my concepts and the current research results, the look in Liam's eyes began to change. He probably never imagined that after being his full-time wife for 3 years, I would turn around and become his biggest rival. Ava suddenly burst into tears and accused me. "Boo-hoo, Miss Reed, was it fun to make a fool out of me?" The next second, she covered her mouth and ran out. My first reaction was confusion. Liam's first reaction was to chase after her. Liam didn't come back before the party ended, and in his absence, I managed to secure another meeting with Frank. Just as I was leaving the party in a good mood, Liam suddenly appeared. His face was dark. "Isabella, why did you lie to Ava and say you didn't know French?" "I didn't. She just assumed." "Liam didn't believe me. If you didn't, why would she offer to translate for you?" "In the end, Isabella, you just can't shake that arrogant, privileged attitude of yours. You look down on the poor. You bullied Lily back then, and now you're bullying her sister. But don't you forget, your family is gone. You're no longer the princess of the Reed family." He knew exactly where to hit me where it hurt. I couldn't take it anymore. I exploded. "Liam, have you said enough?" Liam, perhaps realizing he had gone too far, shut his mouth. There were people around, looking our way. To save face, I took a deep breath. I said, "I didn't ask her to translate. She offered." I don't know if Liam believed me, but I didn't care. But as I walked away, I heard his voice from behind. "Ava is innocent. Unlike you." I actually laughed. I stopped and turned to look at him. You came here tonight because you regret divorcing me, didn't you?" So that's how he saw it. I felt in my coat pocket and pulled out some loose change from last year. "Go see a psychiatrist. Here, the fee is on me." But Liam was insistent. "Isabella, I gave you a chance. You were the one who insisted on a divorce. There's no turning back now." "Wait, Liam, Which eye of yours sees me regretting this? He pointed at my hand hanging by my side. The ring. I looked down at the ring on my left hand and couldn't help but laugh. Liam, look closely. This is my engagement ring. A crack appeared on Liam's calm facade. He looked at me in shock, as if trying to determine if I was telling the truth. But I couldn't be bothered with him anymore and walked away. The winters in Salt Lake City were bleak and cold. I hated them. My memories of my family's bankruptcy, my father's imprisonment, and Liam's hatred for me were all tied to winter. It was a constant reminder that while others had warm homes and loving families, I was all alone. But this winter felt different. This winter, someone was waiting for me at home. Under a bright light, a man stood by his car. He was tall and slender, his black coat draped over his broad shoulders. His deep-set, chiseled features were like a work of art. His eyebrows gave him a lazy, approachable look, a kind of roguish charm, but his aura was so cold and powerful that it was intimidating. The moment I looked at him, he raised his long, phoenix-like eyes and met my gaze, a smile playing on his lips. Finished. I smiled back. Mr. Quinn, picking me up in person. Daniel Quinn chuckled and wrapped his arm around my waist. Have to be proactive when picking up Mrs. Quinn. He opened the car door, held his hand over the frame as I got in, and then fastened my seatbelt before walking around to the driver's side. I teased him. The Crown Prince of Ocean City, acting as my doorman. If this gets out, I'll be eaten alive. Daniel held the steering wheel with one hand, his profile sharp and defined. I'd love for it to get out, so everyone knows you're my wife. I pursed my lips and smiled, my heart as sweet as honey. Liam chased after me, and a car passed right by him. His sharp gaze immediately swept over the interior. Though it was dark, he could still make out a man sitting inside. He froze. That man. Was he the one Isabella was engaged to? Was Isabella really with another man? How was that possible? Since childhood, Isabella's world had revolved around him. Everyone knew that. She had fought with her family, starved herself, and nearly died just to marry him. How could she just stop loving him? This had to be another one of her tricks. A ploy to get his attention, to make him give in. Liam sneered. He wouldn't indulge her this time. Let's see how long she could keep this up. Ava appeared behind him at some point. President. Isabella is a very free-spirited and direct person. Sometimes she doesn't consider other people's feelings, but she's not a bad person. Please don't be angry with her. Free-spirited and direct. I'd say she's self-centered. Liam grumbled. I'll take you home. Thank you, President. Ava happily and obediently got into the passenger seat. Ava tried to make conversation the whole way, but Liam was distracted, his mind filled with Isabella and her words. When they reached her place, Ava said, President, thank you for your kindness. I've recently learned how to perform a tea ceremony. Would you like to come up and have some? She looked at Liam with a passionate and adoring gaze, the look of a woman in love. Liam was too preoccupied to notice. He refused her on the spot. The hope in Ava's eyes dimmed, but she still tried to be understanding. Then when you have time, Liam cut her off. She said she didn't. Ava was taken aback for a moment, then quickly understood who she was. Tears welled up in her eyes, and she looked extremely wronged. Liam's voice softened. She's always been proud and arrogant, and she doesn't bother to defend herself. If she says she didn't, then she didn't. You probably misunderstood her. Hearing him defend Isabella, Ava's nails dug into her palms, and tears streamed down her face. President, I didn't mean to slander her. I was probably just too nervous at the time, so I didn't hear what she said clearly. I'm sorry. Liam's brow furrowed deeply. It's not your fault. Go on up. Without waiting for her reply, he stepped on the gas and drove off. About half an hour later, Liam's car pulled up in front of a villa. This was his and Isabella's marital home. Before the divorce, Isabella had lived here, and Liam had hated coming here. Now that they were divorced and Isabella was gone, Liam hated it even more. He slammed the car door and walked inside. The living room lights were on. Nothing had changed, but Liam felt an emptiness. Isabella used to wait for him on the sofa, no matter how late. The moment he walked in, he would see her smiling, calling him honey, and asking if he was hungry. If he wanted a late-night snack, he would always impatiently say no and tell her not to wait for him. Now, she really wasn't waiting. Liam felt a tightness in his chest. He loosened his tie. A sound suddenly came from the bedroom upstairs. Liam's pupils contracted, and he quickly ran up the stairs. The bedroom was dark. He pushed the door open and said, Isabella, you're finally back. Who was that man tonight? You better explain yourself. In the darkness, a figure stood up slowly and stiffly. Sir, it's me. Liam froze for a few seconds, then flicked on the light. The housekeeper, Mrs. Green smiled awkwardly. Sir, you're back. Liam's face darkened. What are you doing in here? Mrs. Green looked at him timidly. Didn't you say I had to pack up the mistress things by tomorrow? Then why didn't you turn on the light? I just came in. Liam clenched his fists, the veins on the back of his hands bulging. He felt like a ball of cotton was stuck in his chest, making it hard to breathe. You don't need to pack. Get out. The housekeeper was terrified and quickly scurried away. Liam looked at the empty bedroom. Isabella really didn't have many things. She had left decisively, taking only what she had bought herself. She hadn't taken a single thing he had given her. She had always been this ruthless, hadn't she? Liam's lips curved into a sarcastic smile, but his face grew even darker. A fire was burning in his chest. Liam took off his jacket and threw it on the bed, then went into the bathroom. Cold water cascaded over his head. He closed his eyes and tilted his head back. His mind was uncontrollably filled with images of Isabella. She stood elegantly under the lights. Her oval face was exquisite and bright, her long, flowing hair casually tied back with a light blue ribbon, graceful and dazzling. She moved confidently among the business tycoons, chatting and laughing with them. Her unique and sharp business insights made everyone take notice, including him. He had to admit, the moment she appeared tonight, he was deeply captivated, but he didn't want to show it, lest she become arrogant again. Isabella used to dress up to get his attention. If he so much as glanced at her, she would proudly lift her chin and say, "Admit it, you're smitten." This time, she was using the same trick. No, this time, she had raised the stakes. She even used an engagement ring to scare him. Did she think he would be fooled, that he would give in to her? She still underestimated him. This tug-of-war would end with her backing down, just like all the others. Coming out of the bathroom, Liam glanced at the silk pajamas on the bedside table. The next second, he decisively threw them into the bathtub, then put on a robe and opened the door to call the housekeeper. Mrs. Green. Mrs. Green ran upstairs. Sir, what is it? Call Isabella and ask her where my silk pajamas are. Sir, the mistress is probably asleep by now. Why don't I look for them for you? Liam's face darkened. I told you to call her. Mrs. Green shrunk back. Oh, when Liam called, I was in the bath with Daniel. I had wanted to bathe separately, but he was being clingy and mischievous. By the end, I had no energy left and he had to carry me out of the bathroom. Daniel, you're an animal, I protested weakly. Daniel's hand was on my aching lower back. He smiled, completely satisfied. Let me massage my wife. I grumbled playfully. Who's your wife? Am not. He gently slapped my bottom. How are you not my wife? When you were just a tiny baby, your grandfather promised my grandfather that you would be my wife. You can't deny that. My connection with Daniel did indeed begin in our infancy. The Reed and Quinn families were once two of the most prominent families in Ocean City, and they were also neighbors with a very close relationship. My grandfather and Daniel's grandfather were sworn brothers. After we were born, they immediately arranged our engagement and promised that if either family ever faced difficulties, the other would help. After my family's downfall, Daniel went to great lengths to help, even paying off all our debts. The creditors never bothered me for a single day. Besides not having a home, I was still able to be myself. Most importantly, he made it possible for me to marry into the Scott family and become Liam's wife. During my years as Mrs. Scott, I was completely submissive to Liam, and Daniel focused on his career. He built his own AI team, competing with and even surpassing European and American tech giants on Wall Street, causing a global sensation. He had invited me to join him more than once, but I had always refused. After my divorce from Liam, I went to Salt Lake City to clear my head. There, I met Daniel again. When he once again asked me to join his team, I agreed without hesitation. After a failed marriage, I had finally woken up. A love that asks you to give up your dreams is not a sweet treat, but a poison. It may look beautiful and tempting, but once you swallow it, the poison will consume you. And in the end, there is only death. Thankfully, I had finally woken up. Thankfully, I met Daniel. I joined his team, and during our time working together, he gave me complete trust and support. He didn't interfere, just let me do my research. When I encountered difficulties, he would be there to guide and help me, and I would have a sudden breakthrough. In just 1 month, I grew rapidly and independently secured several major projects. So Daniel directly appointed me as the head of the Ocean City Research Institute. We spent our days together, sharing the same interests and having endless conversations. A single glance from me, and he knew what I wanted to do. Sometimes, I would just have a thought, and he would immediately put it into action. I often joked that he was a mind reader. but he would say with a serious expression, "I don't want to be a mind reader. I want to be your husband." Looking at his direct and passionate gaze, my heart would race. On a very ordinary night, he held my face and kissed me. I closed my eyes and welcomed a new life. The phone on the bedside table suddenly rang, interrupting my thoughts. Seeing the caller ID, I instinctively looked at Daniel. He was smiling at me, his voice thick with jealousy. "Mrs. Quinn, you're quite busy, aren't you?" I gave a guilty smile and wrapped my arms around his neck, trying to be cute. "It's him. It has nothing to do with me. I won't answer." "Okay." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "If you don't answer, he'll keep calling and I won't get any sleep." His long fingers pressed the answer button and held the phone to my face. "Mistress." It was Mrs. Green's voice. "What is it?" "The master is asking where his silk pajamas are. He wants to wear them." I frowned. How should I know where his pajamas are? Mrs. Green sounded troubled. "The master said you always organize his clothes." In the past, I did indeed organize Liam's clothes, from his daily outfits to his socks. I took care of everything with the diligence of a mother. He took it all for granted, thinking I would love him like that forever. But now, I didn't love him anymore. We were divorced. Why should I be responsible for finding his pajamas? He's crazy. If he can't find them, he can just go without. Since we're divorced, please tell him to have the decency to act like he's dead and stop bothering me. I knew Liam was probably right next to Mrs. Green. I was saying these words for him to hear. Sure enough, the next moment, Mrs. Green's voice was replaced by Liam's. "Do you have to be so heartless?" I was about to say something, but Daniel pressed me down on the bed. I gasped and whispered with my lips, "Don't." Daniel pretended not to hear, his head lowering to suck on my neck, a very sensitive spot. I couldn't help but let out a soft moan. "Isabella, what are you doing?" Liam sensed something was wrong, his tone suddenly turning cold. I blushed and pushed Daniel away, warning him with my eyes not to mess around. Daniel's lips curved into a wild and dangerous smile. "Isabella, is there someone with you?" Liam asked, his voice filled with suppressed anger. I answered him calmly, "My fiancé." "What's wrong?" There was a 2-second silence on the other end. Then Liam suddenly sneered. "There are some people who tell so many lies that they start to believe them themselves. Isabella, you're one of those people. You keep saying you're getting married. Have you set a date? When are you sending me an invitation?" In his mind, I was already a pathological liar, just like with what happened in the past. No matter how I explained, he was convinced I was a terrible person. I gave a cold smile. "Don't worry, Mr. Scott. I'll definitely invite you to my wedding, and I hope you'll be generous with your wedding gift, so as not to lose face." Liam gritted his teeth. "I'll be waiting." I hung up. Daniel was propped up on his hands on either side of me. He was shirtless, his skin pale and cool, his toned muscles rippled from his chest down to his lean waist, exuding a raw, wild power that was incredibly alluring. He looked at me with a predatory gaze, as if he wanted to devour me. "Are you sure you want to invite him to our wedding?" I smiled provocatively. "Mr. Quinn isn't scared, is he?" He ripped off the towel wrapped around his waist, a dangerous smile on his lips. "You little minx, you need to be taught a lesson." On the weekend, Daniel attended a private conference. He was afraid I would be bored at home, so he brought me with him. Compared to Liam, who only had influence in Ocean City, Daniel's reach was clearly much greater. The moment he appeared, everyone flocked to him. I quickly whispered to him, "You go ahead and mingle. I'm just going to the restroom." As fate would have it, I ran into Ava in the restroom. She immediately became wary when she saw me. "What are you doing here? You're like a ghost. Everywhere Mr. Scott goes, you follow." With no one else around, she finally showed her true colors. I looked at her face, so similar to Lily's, and smiled. "You and your sister may look alike, but you're a far cry from her." Lily could keep up the act from beginning to end. She not only had Liam wrapped around her finger, but sometimes even I was impressed by her skills, almost believing she was a pure and innocent flower. "And you're just a cheap, scheming little thing. I can smell your desperation from a mile away. You know Liam only has eyes for your sister, yet you shamelessly use her name to seduce him. What, do you want to be Mrs. Scott?" Her thoughts exposed, Ava glared at me. "Yes, I like Liam, and I want to be Mrs. Scott. So what? Even if he sees me as my sister's replacement, I'm willing to give up myself for him. Liam will see how good I am. He'll fall in love with me. Ava, not Lily's replacement. Isabella, you stay away. Don't interfere with me and Liam, or you'll regret it." Ava's expression was crazed. There might be a history of mental illness in her family. She was even crazier than Lily. To give up oneself to love someone else. The ending is always tragic. But people are like moths to a flame. They won't stop until they see the end. I asked her with a calm expression. Did you know I'm allergic to bluebells? Ava suddenly stiffened, her eyes darting away. I don't know what you're talking about. Her reaction confirmed my suspicions. My temples throbbed. I grabbed her by the hair and pushed her head into the sink. Water splashed everywhere. Ava screamed in terror. Isabella, are you crazy? Let go of me. Liam never remembers any of our anniversaries. You were the one who reminded him, weren't you? You knew I was allergic to bluebells, but you deliberately had him buy them for me. Ava tried to deny it. I didn't. You're a tough one. Let's see how long you can last. I turned the faucet on full blast, the water rushing over Ava's head. She screamed. The commotion attracted a crowd. Liam pushed his way through. Isabella, are you crazy? Stop it. I sneered. Why should I listen to you? Who do you think you are? Ava wailed dramatically. Mr. Scott. Isabella is trying to kill me. Please save me. Liam panicked, raised his hand, and slapped me across the face, pulling Ava from my grasp. Ava, looking terrified, leaned weakly against him, but I saw the triumphant smile in her eyes as she looked at me. Although Liam had no feelings for me, he had always been civil. He had never hit me before. Today was the first time. For a lying little schemer. My face stung, and my heart felt like it had been squeezed. I found it laughable and pathetic that I had ever been so devoted to him. Perhaps because he was reminded of Lily's death. Liam was emotional, his eyes red. If you have a problem, you can take it out on me. Why do you have to hurt an innocent person? Ava sobbed quietly. Isabella already knows I was the one who picked out the bluebells for her, so she thinks I'm the reason you two got a divorce, and she's taking it out on me. Liam looked at me, perplexed. You were the one who wanted a divorce. You were the one who insisted, and now you're making a scene like this. What do you want? I gave a sarcastic smile. Liam, did you know I'm allergic to bluebells? Liam was stunned. He remembered that the reason I had wanted a divorce was because he had given me a bouquet of bluebells. He had thought I was just throwing a tantrum, but he never imagined I was actually allergic. I'm sorry, I didn't know. I laughed. Of course you didn't. You didn't even remember it was our anniversary that day. Someone had to remind you, didn't they? Liam looked down, unable to meet my eyes. What's going on? Daniel walked over quickly. When he saw the mark on my face, his eyes filled with pain. He gently touched my cheek, his expression fierce. Who did this? His dark eyes scanned the crowd and quickly locked on Liam. It was the first time I had seen them face to face. In comparison, whether it was presence or appearance, Daniel completely overshadowed Liam, especially an angry Daniel. No one could withstand that suffocating pressure, but when Liam saw me with him, and saw him protecting me, he realized something, and his eyes blazed with an unprecedented fury. Glaring at me, Daniel's face grew even colder. He was about to make a move, but I quickly grabbed his hand and shook my head. I looked at Liam. Liam, I was the one who forced you to marry me, making you unable to marry the one you wanted. Consider that slap my repayment. Now we're even. We owe each other nothing. Also, the night before the avalanche, I also had an allergic reaction to bluebells. With that, I pulled Daniel away. Liam watched their retreating backs, and then he saw their clasped hands. The fire in his chest blazed again, accompanied by a suffocating tightness, but he couldn't deal with that now. He turned and pushed Ava away. Ava's eyes filled with tears. Mr. Scott, it's all my fault. Liam was annoyed by her tears. Just go home. With that, he strode out, pulling out his phone as he walked. Less than a day later, a surveillance video was delivered to Liam's desk. He hesitated for a few seconds before playing it. Lily, in a white dress, appeared on the screen, facing Isabella. They seemed to be in a confrontation. There's going to be an avalanche tomorrow. You can't go. Isabella's voice was clear. Liam's pupils contracted. Something inside him shattered. Lily had a gentle smile on her lips, just as she always did in front of him, but the words she spoke shocked him. I know. That's why I have to go. I want to see, when the avalanche comes, will Liam choose you, or me? Liam's sister wants to go too. I'll take her with me. Isabella looked at her in disbelief. You're afraid Liam won't go looking for you, so you're even using his sister's life as bait. Lily smiled brightly. So Liam will definitely choose me. Lily disappeared from the screen. Isabella frantically took out her phone and tried to make a call, but it wouldn't go through. Liam suddenly looked at his own phone. He had been in meetings all day that day, and his phone had been off. Just then, the hotel room door opened, and a staff member brought in a bouquet of bluebells and placed it on the table. Isabella was busy on the phone and didn't even look. 5 minutes passed. Isabella suddenly collapsed to the floor, her body convulsing, her eyes fixed on the bluebells in pain. Liam's heart felt as if it were being hit by something heavy, slowly and bluntly, each blow heavier and more painful than the last. Memories of the past flashed before his eyes, all of them of his cruelty towards her. He had blamed her for Lily and his sister's deaths. He had blamed her for not stopping them, for watching them go to their deaths. For 3 years of their marriage, he had refused to listen to her explanations, coldly punishing her, crushing her heart into pieces. It turned out he had wronged her. He had misjudged her. Liam clutched his chest, the pain suffocating. Only now did he understand his own heart. But, was there still a chance? The last time I saw Liam was at the airport. He had lost weight and no longer looked as impeccable as he used to. He seemed defeated and dejected. Isabella, I know what happened back then. I misunderstood you. I'm sorry. Please give me a chance to make it up to you. Let's start over. Okay. I love you, honey. He looked at me with guilt and deep emotion. It was the first time he had ever called me honey. The first time he had looked at me with such a gaze, full of affection. If it had been in the past, I would have been overjoyed. But now, my heart was still. We're already divorced. Liam, we have to move on. I placed a wedding invitation in front of him. Come if you have time. The festive red color was reflected in Liam's desperate eyes. He looked up at me pitifully. Isabella, did you ever love me? I stood up, took my luggage, and gave him a bright smile. Mr. Scott, farewell. I never saw Liam again. I did see his lawyer a few times. He had transferred most of his assets to me. In business, if we were in competition, he would automatically withdraw. He didn't come to my wedding with Daniel. A mutual friend told me some gossip about him. Ava had relentlessly pursued him, but to no avail. She ended up drugging him and getting pregnant, but Liam still refused to marry her. When the child was born, the Scott family had someone take the baby away. Ava, suffering from postpartum depression, couldn't take the blow and jumped from a building. Liam was indifferent. He started drinking heavily. His company soon went bankrupt, and he himself disappeared. I listened calmly, without a single comment. In the sunlight, Daniel was smiling and waving at me. I smiled back and walked towards a wider world.